Hi, you're listening to Behind the Bib podcast with Lisa Watkins. Real talk for every runner. Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to Behind the Bib. I'm your host, Lisa Watkins, and guess what, everyone? This is officially episode 11. I have passed the dreaded 10th episode stall. So I think you've heard before that podcasts usually do not make it past episode 10. So I'm super excited to be here doing my 11th episode. And for those of you who have been listening or watching maybe on YouTube since the beginning, or maybe you have just joined, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. And I do hope that this podcast gives something back to our community, especially a community that has given so much to me. So thank you. And welcome to Behind the Bib. So today I'm diving into one of my absolute most favoritist things in the whole wide world. Is favoritist a word? I don't think favoritist is a word, but I'm going to use it in this episode like it's a word. Welcome to one of my most favoritist things in the whole wide world, and that is interval running. And today we're going to talk to you about what interval running is, how we use the kind of nomenclature to describe the intervals that we're going to be using. And then I'm going to tell you why I love it so much. So I did a little research but mostly I'm just going to share with you my experience, because really in the end, that's all that I have. I'm just a regular old runner in North Alabama. I almost said North Georgia. That's so funny. Because that's originally where I'm from. So I'm just a regular old runner in North Alabama. A tried and true back of the packer. I have a great time on my runs. And one of the reasons why I don't feel like a truck has hit me and backed up and hit me again is because we almost exclusively run intervals. Now, if we're doing shorter runs, sometimes we won't, or we may vary the interval that we're using on the shorter runs, but that's the beauty of it. It is so customizable to what you're feeling for that day, or for what the weather's doing, anything, right? It's so customizable, and that's why I love it. All right, so I'm going to do things a little differently today, and you may love it and you may hate it. It may be a stark raving disaster. I don't know. Hopefully not. But I have got my Gymboss here with me. And what this is, it's a little timer for those of you that can't see this. I'm going to hold it up to the camera for those of you that can. You see the little Gymboss, and I'm going to turn it on there. You can see the numbers pop up on it. So the Gymboss is about 2 inches wide, 1.5 inches tall, and that's probably about a 1/2 inch deep. And it's really kind of like the size of maybe a large potato chip, a large tortilla chip, or like a Ritz cracker, something like that. So you can imagine you can just kind of hold this in your hand if you want to. It comes with this little clip on the back of it, which is actually firm enough so that I clip it like in my sports bra, or I clip it on my pocket of my shorts, or on my vest if I have my hydration vest on that day. And it's actually pretty secure, right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to use the Gymboss, and I'm going to talk during the intervals, and I will give you, hopefully, I'm going to try to give you like a little countdown when it's time to shift. And so I was thinking I would share my intervals today with you if you're listening to this, either on your run or your walk, or maybe you're just starting, or if you're on a road trip. If you're on a road trip, do not run or walk to this. All right. This little guy vibrates or it beeps. You can set it to do both at the same time. You can set it to do one or the other. If I'm outside and I'm running with other people, I set it to beep. And the beep is loud enough so that the people that are right around me can hear it. And you can set it to vibrate though. So like if I'm in the gym, like some days in the stupid hot southeast summer where it's 95 degrees and 95% humidity, sometimes we have to do marathon training in the gym on treadmills, or there are terrible storms or something like that. So you don't always get to run outside. I always try to, but sometimes it just doesn't work with the training plan. And on those days, when I still try to get the run in on that day, I will take this to the gym with me and I'll do my, I don't know, sometimes it's 12, 13 miles on the god-awful treadmill, but I'll set it on vibrate so it doesn't disrupt the people in the gym, right? That's kind of not a cool thing to do in there. And then it just vibrates and it's incognito, right? All right. One of the reasons why I actually love this Gymboss is because it lets me focus on something else beside the intervals or keeping up with the intervals. You can set this thing to do 99 iterations, so that means 99 runs and walks combined. So depending on what time you set that at, it can be quite a long time. Usually it lasts me at least a half marathon. But it lets me focus on my conversations with my friends, my run buddies, my podcasts, like shout out to Back of the Pack. Always listen to you on my long runs, and listen to my music. I was listening to the Six musical to that one this past time. And again, I don't have to worry about it because this keeps track of the intervals fit for me. And I can focus on other things. And that's 100% better. Also, because with my ADHD, there's no way in the world I would keep track of the intervals. I've tried, I can't do it. This does it for me. So I put a system in place to make up for my inability to do it myself. All right. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to use this little guy, and then I'm going to talk about why I love intervals so much while using the interval. Isn't that kind of cool? I thought that was a neat idea. Get ready to do your first run. Hopefully you've been walking, you've been warming up through this whole introduction, but get ready to run in 3, 2, 1, run. All right. We're going to be running for 2 minutes and walking for 1 minute during these intervals today. Now, if you've just started running, you might want to switch that, right? You might want to walk for 1 minute or cut the minute in half. Maybe you want to walk for 30 seconds and then you walk the rest of the time. So don't feel like you have to run this if you've just started. But if you've been running for a little while and you're just like, hey, I'll try intervals, for once and see how I feel. Why not? It's not that serious. Okay. So first, what is the the run, walk, run method? Really, a lot of people refer to this as the Galloway method, and it was invented by Jeff Galloway. He's an Olympian, and he's actually the big Run Disney coach. And a lot of folks at Run Disney use this method for their half marathons, for their 10Ks, and especially their marathons. You'll see people all over using the run, walk, run method. And it's just this method of running on the interval so that you can strategically place and time your walk breaks instead of just walking kind of when you get tired. And then that does funny things to your brain. At least it does funny things to my brain because I'm like, I've got to walk, or I want to walk, but I just walked, and it kind of leaves me feeling icky, and I don't like that. But with this interval method, you strategically plan your walks. Like, I'm going to run for 2 minutes and then I'm going to walk. And it's not a stroll. It's a pretty good clip, right? You're walking at a pretty good clip, but it's strategic about it. And so you implement them according to the timer. Speaking of time, get ready to walk in 3, 2, 1, walk. You're going to be walking for 1 minute. All right. So let's keep going with the run, walk, run method. Instead of running to exhaustion, you implement these walk breaks strategically. And that's one of the things I especially love about it. Especially like in the summer, like I was talking about earlier, when it's really hot and the humidity is really up there, we actually lower the intervals because it turns out your body reacts differently when it's super hot and when it's super humid outside, and your run intervals might be a little bit shorter and your walk intervals might be a little bit longer. And that's the wonderful thing about how customizable this is. You do it depending on what you need that day. And I feel like as long as I'm giving my personal best effort, that's my personal best effort, right? Get ready to run in 4, 3, 2, 1, run. All right, so this is not just for beginners. I've been using this method maybe 4 years now since I really consistently started running long distances. And what I consider long distance is anything over like 7 miles or so. When I first started, that was not the case. When I first started, a long distance to me was 3 miles. And I was like, holy crap, I just did 3 miles and I felt so good about myself. And now I'm like, my body's a little bit more adjusted to it. I'm like, okay, my long runs now are about, 7 miles until I get into marathon training. And then there's a lot more, right? So, all of that was to say that when you're doing these intervals, you can customize it. If the weather is hot, if it's super humid, or in the fall, maybe you want, and the humidity's low, maybe you want to go on a longer run interval and walk less. Like, why not? Get those fall PRs. So this isn't just for beginners, it's for marathoners and ultra marathoners. I've used it for everything from 5K to marathons, and it's accessible to everyone. Right? All right. Speaking of accessible, reason number 1 why I think that the intervals are just the bomb. I feel like that it makes running accessible, and that is something that's very near and dear to my heart, is the accessibleness, the inclusiveness of this community. I feel very passionately that everybody belongs, and this is just one more way that I can create that space, and I can help create that space for that inclusivity, right? So get ready to walk in 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you have ever thought, I can't run a mile without stopping, well, first of all, who says you can't stop? Actually, don't stop, walk. Nobody, all runners walk at some point, for the most part. They may walk through the aid stations, they may walk through the water stations, but more often than not, unless you're qualifying for marathon time trials or BQing, you're going to take a walk break here and there. So this method makes it accessible and inclusive to folks, which I think is extremely important, especially for this community, which can do a little gatekeeping. And I'll be honest with you, I don't love the gatekeeping with it, but because I don't, why? Why do that? I don't think we have to. Okay, reason number 1 is it makes running accessible and inclusive. Get ready to run in 3, 2, 1. There you go. All right, reason number 2. This really reduces injury and fatigue. If you talk to some runners, we can be really prone to overuse injuries. That may be because we do nothing but running and we don't do the strength training and stretching like we are supposed to. I will say that I'm very guilty of that myself. I'm trying to do better this year, but so far I have said that 4 years in a row and I have yet to do better. So there's that. So sometimes people get overuse injuries. I think that this actually helps with that. Again, I'm not a doctor. Don't play one on TV. I watch them on TV, and that's about as close as I can come to it. I know doctors. There's some doctors in my family, in fact. However, I am not one. I can just tell you what I have experienced. And since I've been using intervals, I haven't really injured myself. The folks that I have talked to that don't may not be the same. So those overuse injuries are less likely to occur, and I think it's because of the switch on how you use your muscles. You use different muscles walking than you do with running, and so by switching off consistently at the same time intervals, you switch those muscles over and over and over throughout your run, so that your run is using some of the they're using different leg muscles than you're using when you're walking. And I often feel like if I'm walking too much, my hips will kind of start to ache a little bit. And then I'll start running and it kind of relieves that. So it's actually great for me. And so I feel like I finish my long runs not feeling like a truck hit me and then backed up and went forward again. Get ready to walk in 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. You should be walking now. So, reason number 3 is for why I love this Galloway method or this run, walk, run method is that it actually helped me go farther. So the longest race that I had done was like a 10K distance before. And when I started implementing these run, walk, run method, this strategic approach to introducing my walks into my run at like a predestined times, right, was that's when I really started adding on distance and was able to do the half marathons and the full marathons. That's really what got me there. And don't think that it's just beginners that do this. Like I said before, there's lots of stories on Instagram and things like that of even ultra marathoners. Get ready to run in 4, 3, 2, 1. You should be running. So even ultra marathoners use this method to do their runs and time their walks into their ultra marathons. Are you going to qualify for the Olympic marathon time trials? Maybe not, but most of us are not going to do that anyway. When it comes down to it, you're just running your personal best effort whenever you're doing this. And so for me, my personal best effort usually means incorporating some kind of walk break into my run, and it helps me mentally to do that at predetermined times. And because I know that I'll need a walk break every so often, and then I don't mentally feel like, I'm such a failure because I walked. No, you're not a failure. You walked. That's it. It's not a bigger deal than that. You just took a walk break. It's okay. All right. So that was reason number 3, was that it helped me go farther in my training distances, and I was finally able to tackle those bucket list distances that I wasn't able to tackle before, or that I felt like was always out of reach for me. I had always wanted to run a marathon. I didn't think I would ever be able to do it, but this method actually made it attainable. It made it reachable. And not only did I do 1, I have done 2, and now have signed up for my 3rd one, and I've done many half marathons in between, even just as training runs for the marathon. And so it has kept me coming back time after time after time, and my recovery time is better, and I don't feel like a truck has hit me after the end of my long runs anymore. I just feel great, actually. Speaking of walking, let's do that in 4, 3, 2, 1. Walk. There you go. All right, so reason number 4 that I love this method is because it's so customizable and it works for every pace. Now, if you're a 450 miler, you're probably not going to take a walk break. I'm just going to say this is probably not for you. But for the rest of us, like that the statistical distribution where most of the runners are actually in that big hump that's in the middle, and then you've got the back of the pack runners that are kind of tailing off at the end. It's for that hump and for everybody else, right? So this method, I feel like, is not just for slow runners, or whatever slow means. I'm not even sure. If you asked 100 runners, you would get 100 different definitions of what slow means to them. Entirely subjective. So I would challenge the word slow. But I will say that it's customizable to whatever pace you're wanting. Oh, speaking of running, you should be doing that now. Sorry, I missed that little countdown. But speaking of running, you can run whatever pace you want. So the only thing is, if you're incorporating walk breaks into it, you just have to run a little faster. if you want to keep the same time. That's it. It's not that deep. It's not that complicated. Run a little faster on your runs and walk at a pretty good clip, and you get your walk break in. And what happens is magic. At least it's magic for me, because my heart rate doesn't do that incremental climb on every, like as your run is going along and your effort level stays actually it won't stay the same. Your effort level will grow up the longer you go, because your body is starting to fatigue. But my heart rate doesn't do that mountain climb thing. And I can bring my heart rate back down during the walks every time. And so I don't ever shift into that zone 3 running, or the anaerobic zone where you're not using oxygen, and staying in that aerobic zone. And I know in the summertime, it's so important for me to watch that, because if my heart rate gets too high in the summer, then I'll have difficulty that afternoon. Like I'll get headaches and I'll get muscle cramps, and all kinds of bad things happen if my heart rate goes haywire and I don't pay attention to stuff. And this keeps me from doing that. So it works for every pace, whatever pace you have. You just have to toy around with it and figure out the intervals that you want to run and the walk intervals that you want to walk. Speaking of walking, let's do that in 4, 3, 2, 1. Walk. So some common intervals that I have used run for a minute, walk for 30 seconds. Run for a minute, walk for 30 seconds. Run for a minute, walk for 30 seconds. I call those 130s. You can do 230s. You can do 2 1s. You can do 8 2s. I started off actually doing 8 2s, and then I talked to somebody from the Jeff Galloway team, and they were like, actually, when you look at 8 2s, and that's like a 1-to-4 ratio, we have found that doing a shorter run and a shorter walk, no longer than like 30 seconds or a minute walk, people actually do a lot better. And so I switched and started doing shorter intervals. Speaking of which, start running in 3, 2, 1. That's your run. So I started doing it in shorter intervals. And so now we may do 3 1s if it's like a 5K, and we're wanting to walk more. Or sometimes we'll do 3 30s if it's a like super flat course and we're feeling great that day. And we just do a little 30-second walk every 3 minutes. And sometimes like on our long runs, and this is really good for my brain, I love doing this, we'll start off with like 2 1s, and we'll do the first 7 miles that way. And then we'll shift to 1 1s, and we'll do the next, 3, 4, 5 miles that way. And then we'll switch down to 45 30s. And then maybe the last 2 miles or the last 3 miles, we'll do 30 30s when we're really tired, but we're still trying to get the time in on our feet. That's how we do it. As I may start with one interval, and then multiple times throughout the run, I will change intervals. And that's why I love this stinking little Gymboss thing, is because on the walk, boop, 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 I just change the interval time, and then we pick that up on the next one. And speaking of which, that's another reason why I think reason number 4 was that it works for every pace. And now, I guess if I had a reason number 5, was every time I walk, especially on the long runs, when I'm like gelling or taking salt or eating gummy bears or whatever it is, that walk break is great because it lets you take your gel, sip on some water, run a little more, take a little more gel, sip on some water, run a little more, eat a couple of gummy bears, get ready to walk in 3, 2, 1. You should be walking. So it allows you time to fuel. So I rip off the top of the gel and, I take some of the gel and then I drink water. And that's one of the things that really helps with the GI upset, because I know a lot of people have an issue with GI upset with taking so many gels. And especially in those long runs, when you do, the last thing you want to do is eat another stupid gel. It was just thinking about it causes me to hurl. But anyway, it gives you an opportunity to do that at planned strategic intervals, right? Not like, oh God, I got to walk, and oh God, I need to take my gel. No, it just allows you to relax. The Gymboss keeps up with it. You can time this lots of different ways. So speaking of timing, let's get ready to run in 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can use a Gymboss for the timing. You can use, I know people that have downloaded the Gymboss app. I've actually used that before. Folks use their Garmins. They go in and create a workout in their Garmin, and their Garmin will tell them. The Coros watches will do that as well. I think Apple Watches, I think you can also do that. There's a multitude of different apps out there that you can use. I tried all of that, and really my favorite is this super simple little guy called the Gymboss. And what's funny, I don't get anything from this, but like this super simple little Gymboss, and that you can get on Amazon. And I will put a link in the show notes down below, and you can try it for yourself and see if you like it. Before you make the investment, I think they're like $19, but if you don't want to make that investment, there's an app that you can download on your phone for free that kind of does the same thing. It's just not as easy, and you have to keep the screen unlocked the whole time. So for me, it really drained my battery too much to do it on long runs. So this was a lot better. All right, so that is a little bit about intervals. I know it's so funny, especially when you're talking to other runners, and when you find the runners that actually do this interval method, it's hilarious. We have like a little cult following. We have membership cards. We all get together and we talk about this method that we love so much. And we love it. And so I'm glad that I could actually get on here and share that with you today, because if you've met me for more than like 5 seconds, I will start talking about running and interval running. Speaking of which, let's walk in 3, 2, 1. You should be walking. All right, so that's the top 4 with one bonus reason of why I love interval running. I'm going to turn my little Gymboss off now. Okay, so that was a few reasons why I love interval running, and I showed you how I did it by using the little Gymboss guy here that I love so much. I gave you 4 reasons why I love interval running, and we'll recap those real quick. Reason number 1, I think it makes running accessible. I think it makes it inclusive for folks, and that's a very big passion project of mine, is the inclusivity of running. This community is wonderful, and I think everyone deserves to have a chance in it, right? It reduces injury and fatigue because you're not using those same muscles over and over, and those what are they called? Overuse injuries. That's right. You don't get those much. And I'm saying this not as a doctor, again, but just as myself. I have not gotten as many overuse injuries as I did before introducing interval running to my running. Helps you go farther. I was able to attain my first half marathon and marathon distances using a strategic placement of walking breaks. Reason number 4 is that it works for every pace, whether you want to go fast or if your goal is to just get out there and party pace it like I do and just finish the run. It allows you to do that. And then reason number 5 is because it allows me to take my gels and do my fueling and all that kind of stuff at pre-planned like sessions during our run. So it's always super helpful, and it's super easy to incorporate those things and not have to worry about it because I have time to. Already pre-programmed into the program for the day. So with that, you just continue walking or running for the rest of this time. Do what you want to do. I cut the little timer off because we're just transitioning into the rest of the program now. So one of the things that I want to start adding into the episodes, and thank you to Melanie. So Melanie was like, hey, I would actually really like to know some of the upcoming races that you recommend. Now, I will say I haven't run everything in North Alabama and the Southeast, but boy, wouldn't that be great if I had. But what I'm going to do instead of that is I'm going to get on and tell you about some of the upcoming races that I have at least heard about, right? And then you can make the choice of whether or not you want to go check them out and sign up for them. So over the next week, we have got the River City Run in Decatur that has a 10K, a 5K, and a kids fun run. That is on March the 29th. So if this episode is airing Friday, March the 28th, then that's going to be on Saturday, March the 29th. The following week, on a weeknight, you have the Double Helix Dash 5K. That's on April the 1st. No joke, but so the Double Helix Dash 5K is out there at the Hudson Alpha building in Research Park. I'm actually going to be doing that one. That one is just a 5K. It's a really cool little course. It resembles the DNA double helix, and so you kind of curve in and out of each other. It's pretty neat. And then on April 4th, you have the Shepherd's Cove Hospice Race to Remember. That's in Boaz, Alabama. That's a 5K and 1 mile. And then on April 5th, we have the Shamrock 5K. That's in Huntsville, Alabama. That's a 5K as well. On April 6th, we have the 5th Annual HBCU, Historically Black College and University STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Education Run. So it's HBCU, STEM, STEM Education Run. That's also in Huntsville. That's a 5K and 1 mile run. And then the following weekend, we've got two big runs. We've got on April 12th, the Dueling Banjos 5K and 10K. You actually have to sign up for both of those races in order to get your bib, because it's a 5K up the mountain, straight up. Well, it's not straight up, but it's a 5K up the mountain. I 100% plan on walking that. And then it's a 10K down the mountain trail race, and I 100% plan on using intervals to run that. That's a 5K and 10K, but like I said, you have to do both to participate in that race. And then on the same weekend, on April 12th, you have the Salmon Run 5K. It's not salmon like the fish. It's actually named after one of the gentlemen. It's a legacy of one of the gentlemen. It's a big hot wing cook-off. I know, you just have to look up the website. It's a big wing cook-off in downtown Huntsville. They do a 5K now with it to contribute to their charity, and I think I would actually really love to do this one. It's on the same day as the Dueling Banjos, though, and I'm not going to be able to do both. But that is a 5K race, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and I will try to do this every episode, but please don't get mad at me if I don't. I will try. Just remind me, hey, you forgot the runs to be linked in the episodes. So I'm going to go in and I will add these to the show notes below so that you can just go in and check them out and maybe find a race that you want to do this coming weekend or next. All right. So, some final thoughts for episode 11. How incredible is that? We've actually made it to episode 11. That's kind of wild for me to even think about. So, I appreciate you listening for this long if you have. I want to say I think that the run, walk, run method, or the Galloway method, a lot of people call it, is wonderful. I use it myself. I've used it for many years, and I love what it has done for me and what has made accessible to me and what it makes accessible to other people. All right. So I say, go try it. What are you going to lose? Try it on one of your runs. See how you feel. If you feel great afterwards, I'm just saying, I feel great after my runs. So if you run and use this method, the Galloway method or the run, walk, run method, as some people call it, let me know about it. I'm going to post this on Instagram, on all the things. You can follow me there at Behind the Bib. I'm also on Facebook at Behind the Bib Podcast, and then YouTube at Behind the Bib. You guessed it. And I push to multiple different podcast platforms now. And I would like to have more. So if you listen on a specific platform that you wish that this podcast pushed to, let me know about it. If I'm in one of the group runs in there and you see me or whatever, just say, hey, you're not on blah, blah, blah. And I will try to see if I can push to that. I would totally, absolutely love to do that, in fact. And with that, thank you so much for listening. This has been episode 11 of Behind the Bib, where we have real talk for every runner. We'll see y'all next time. Take care. Bye-bye. You've been listening to Behind the Bib with your host, Lisa Watkins. Real talk for every runner.